Binge.
Hey everyone, welcome back for a brand new video about the show that's starting to feel like Lord of the Flies with zombies, The Walking Dead. Warning, beyond this point there are spoilers for people who are not up to date in the Walking Dead television universe and comic book series. In this video, we're going to give you our binge breakdown of all 4 sneak peeks for this weekend's episode along with the opening minutes. We're also going to go over a spoiler we just learned from an early screening of the episode and speculate on what this might mean for our favorite survivors in this 10th season of The Walking Dead. First, let's take a look at these scenes, starting with the opening minutes. The episode begins with a clock ticking as the survivors' day is starting off real early. The opening shot is a beautiful one of the windmill at sunrise. After that, we see Carol silencing her alarm and then taking some pills. But what are they for? An hour later, Carol is leaving the outer gates to take care of some walkers. A few hours later, we see that walkers are still coming. By hour 6, everyone seems to be on alert as this many walkers coming in waves seems like Whisperer handiwork. Aaron brings the squad out to relieve the early fighters, and by hour 11, the one-handed bandit really seems to be feeling the effects. After he kills yet another walker, Aaron gets up, and we see that this clearing is starting to look like a Game of Thrones battle episode. By hour 13, Aaron is back inside the gates, but just in time for Eugene to show him a new surprise: more walkers. That shot cuts to this one with the leadership speculating on what keeps sending these waves of walkers.
Is this her?
Alpha makes the most sense, but we know now that may not be the case, which we'll get into more later. By hour 14, the team looks pretty rough around the edges, and it doesn't look like the walker waves are ending anytime soon. By hour 19, even Eugene is getting in on the action, and at hour 22, we see Aaron is still standing strong. At the 24-hour mark, we get nothing but a windmill shot, although this time it's not too quiet in Alexandria. The next shot is at hour 31, where there are literally piles on piles of zombies. Daryl finishes a few walkers and collects his arrows like it's business as usual. Hour 37 takes us into the second night of endless walkers, as Aaron is really showing off his endurance. Finally, we see hour 44 as the survivors finish off yet another wave. The scene ends with Michonne looking highly concerned and exhausted. What do you think? How long will the all-you-can-kill walker buffet stay open? Is this an attack by Alpha, or is someone else manipulating the situation, trying to incite violence between the two groups? The first sneak peek we'd like to go over is the one that aired on The Talking Dead right after last week's episode. The scene starts off with Carol sitting in what looks to be some sort of office at night. She is clearly worn down, and we'll get more into that later. Carol gets up and starts wandering the dark hallways and sees a bulletin board that says the word brain and eat on it for a sweet Easter egg. Carol finds a disturbing-looking door with blood on its broken window and peeks inside. She finds what looks like a CSI technician's wet dream, as clearly a crime occurred here. Carol finds what appears to be a human that bled to death, but how did she not turn? Carol has had enough of this visual and slowly backs away from the door. Just as she turns around to walk away, she hears the only word in this entire sneak peek.
Mom?
We know Henry makes an appearance in this episode, but will he affect Carol throughout the entire season? What do you think? How long will Carol's ghost stay hidden? The next sneak peek was released right after last episode aired, and it gives us a little more insight into the civil unrest in Alexandria that is undoubtedly also occurring in the connected communities between the survivors and their leadership. The first shot features Dante, who may play some sort of important role in this season. The camera pans towards the front of the room as we hear Michonne talking about everyone being on edge. We know from the opening minutes that their tension is rising due to being up for almost 2 straight days killing walkers. After Michonne finishes her pep talk, the sneak peek cuts to Alexandria's head of security pointing out a few locations on a map and delegating where the teams will focus on the waves of walkers. Michonne says Gabe will be the leader of the first group while Aaron will lead the second group, and clearly he's not playing around. The final group is much smaller and consists of most of our favorite survivors. They will go to the border meet we know is happening from the trailer for this episode. Carol doesn't seem to think they should go in unarmed, but Daryl feels differently.
I got no choice.
We know he feels responsible for Glenn's death, but it really seems like he's been neutered this season. Carol doesn't agree with Daryl's statement, and the sneak peek cuts to her alone in her room digging up an old gun she had stashed. The last 2 shots show Carol taking some pills that will help keep her awake. Again. Will Carol get hooked? Could there be an after-school special mixed into this season about pill addiction? The third sneak peek was just released at the end of the week, and it starts off with Michonne trying to relate to Carol. Michonne doesn't get to finish her thought as Carol gives us the best line we've heard all season.
Like, the bitch has to die.
We 100% agree, but Michonne is not all about that. As Carol makes her exit, Daryl approaches Michonne and tells her what he thinks of his bestie.
She ain't been the same since you got off that boat. Maybe she's better off on it.
Really, man? She lost her son. How is she supposed to act? Michonne still believes in Carol, but Daryl is clearly very worried. The scene cuts to the former Kingdom's queen alone in the woods. She checks her gun and one bullet is missing. What do you think? Where did that third bullet go? Clearly not into Alpha. Just as she closes the chamber to her gun, she notices a few walkers who start running and are clearly whisperers. Carol takes a shot and begins to chase them, but gets tripped up before she can catch up. Daryl shows up with the quickness, and Michonne immediately gives orders to her people as the scene ends. This episode seems to be very Carol-centric, and although we love Killer Carol, there are some signs she may be losing it at least a little bit. But big deal. Rick managed to lose it and come back, and Carol is arguably as tough as he is. What do you think? Is she going nuts? The final sneak peek was released through Rotten Tomatoes and features Negan and Aaron. The former Savior boss tells Aaron his philosophy about the world.
If you don't protect what belongs to you, then sooner or later it belongs to someone else.
Aaron doesn't take this well. Negan doesn't back down, but Aaron has a really tight argument.
If I failed Eric, then you failed your wife. Careful.
Just as we think the two might punch it out, a walker rolls up on Aaron and almost takes him down. Even after Aaron is safe with no help from Negan, it's clear his eyes somehow got messed up and Negan appears to have vanished. What do you think? Will Negan go on the run? Or will he save Aaron like we predicted in an earlier video? Now we'd like to talk about a mysterious spoiler we learned watching the episode early. It appears there is a group of people dressed like Whisperers that are not doing Alpha's bidding. The Whisperers deny responsibility for the waves of walkers, and there are a few other instances with Carol and some weird Whisperers / possible hallucinations. The episode ends with a Whisperer Carol must have injured on one of her kill sprees, waking up after they lost a fair amount of blood. This scene is important because it shows us that Carol is not hallucinating these pseudo-Whisperers. The question this moment leaves us with is, who the hell are these people? Our theory is that these people are highwaymen or other disgruntled survivors trying to force the communities into a war. Dressing up like Whisperers and taunting the survivors just might be what pushes them over the edge. What do you think? Who are these mystery people? Thanks so much for watching our videos, everyone. As always, we're on the lookout for advanced episodes and promos to help prove or disprove all the theories and rumors about our favorite apocalyptic show where zombies aren't even the real threat. Please let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Binge Rampage. Click that notification bell for our channel so you can see our next video as soon as it comes out. And don't forget to subscribe.
I want to marry Maggie. And we don't have to have a wedding. I don't even know if it'll last a week, but I want her to know.
You have my blessing.